Readers Entertainment Radio presents Booklights with your host, author Lisa Kessler. Booklights, where we're shining a light on good books.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for being here today. As you know, in February, we celebrate all things romance. And today, I hope you have your fan handy because we're going to get a little spicier. So today we have on Luce Sutherland, and she has a brand new series of erotic romance. And I can't wait for you to meet her. If you have not read her books yet, I'll read her bio here so you can get to know her. Luce Sutherland has been reading juicy erotic romance since before it was mainstream, when you couldn't hide behind a Kindle and you had to bring the illicit book to the register. When those books became harder to find, she resorted to writing her own stories with delicious, dominant alpha heroes and bold, sassy heroines they attempt to tame. Luce lives with her own alpha husband in the Sunshine State, even though she gets sunburned walking from the car to the grocery store. She is passionate about living each day to the fullest, which includes nurturing authentic friendships, savoring Maui coffee, indulging in Scottish gin, and being a devoted advocate for the benefits of self-care. Her motto, live life juicy. Her motto is live life juicy. And you can follow her on Instagram under Luce Sutherland Writes. I will put that in the show notes as well. And definitely check out her website. I was poking around on there earlier. She is so funny and she has lots of great things on there. And her website is also in the show notes. So feel free to click that, sign up for her newsletter, and get up to date on when the next book is coming out. So, Luce, are you there?
I'm here. Thank you so much for having me, Lisa. I'm excited.
Yeah. Oh, this is going to be fun. So your new book is Delicious Surrender. Do you want to tell everybody why they should run out and grab it today?
Absolutely. So it is a grumpy sunshine romance. I think it fits nicely into that trope because you've got a very dominant alpha, grumpy male character and a sunshiny female character, both of whom have trust issues. They've given up on relationships, they've given up on love, and they're brought together through an interesting circumstance. So my character Bryn is trying to write her own erotic novel. And the agent that she took it to came back with feedback telling her this really missed the mark. You've done research, but it's all book research and it's not spicy enough. It's not realistic enough. So go back to the drawing board and we'll take another look when you're done. So she is dejected from
no
this.
Writer wants that kind of email from their agent.
No, do a complete rewrite. And so she has a best friend who moonlights at this special club. And she figures her best way to get some exposure and some information firsthand is to get a job at this club. And the setting is London, England. And the owner of said club is Mr. Grumpy. And she just wants a job as a waitress. Nothing too complicated about that. But there are a few hurdles to her getting the job, namely a reference from somebody in the BDSM scene. Anyway, she ends up getting the job, and the two of them strike sparks off each other right away, even though they really don't want to. So the chemistry is the beginning of it all, the chemistry between the two of them. And again, he has suspicions about her motives. Why does she want to come and work at this club? There's something more to it. She doesn't strike him as being very submissive, which is one of the job requirements. And so she's pretending, yes, she has an ulterior motive. She wants to see what happens. And that's the beginning. That's a lot. That's a mouthful of information, but it is quite suspenseful at times. They don't start out as enemies, but they do around the midpoint end up in quite I'll call it a kerfuffle, a misunderstanding, a scandal. And the story, as I say, starts in London and moves then to the Scottish island of Skye. Wow. And so settings wise, it's kind of interesting, but it's a good escape escapist fantasy for Valentine's, and it's just been out, I guess, a month today. So I'm quite excited.
Wow. Wow. Exciting. Well, I wanted to ask because you're in the Sunshine State in Florida, right?
Yes.
Oh, me too. Hi.
Oh,
Hi, neighbor.
yes.
But it's set in London. Have you been there a lot? Do you love London? Why did you choose that?
I do love London. I find that it is one of my favorite cities. And I wanted to do something outside of the US for this particular novel. And let's face it, there's something quite romantic about a Scottish hero. And I knew London better than I knew Edinburgh, even though the story does have we jump around a few times. And it just struck me. In fact, one of the main reasons I chose London is because I'd seen in the news the story of the Garrick Club. And it's a
Mhm.
gentlemen's only club that's been in existence since the late 1800s, or yeah.
Wow.
And it's in the news regularly because they don't allow women to be members. So it's so it's always called out as being some misogynist place that is, women can visit but they can't be members. And that the facade of the building, the location, everything sort of, I just decided that would be the setting. That I'm going to make that a gentleman's club of another type. So that's how it came to be.
Well, this is part of a series. I saw it's book one of the Dominant Billionaire series. So, how many books are going to be in the series?
I have planned for 3
Okay.
that the characters all know one another. They're friends from university, the main male characters. And I've got a 4th book up my sleeve percolating that I think also should be part of it. It's a character that's introduced in this book, Delicious Surrender, and I think she should have her own story. So 4. I'm optimistically
4 so far.
have
Okay.
4. Yes.
Love that. Well, when you were writing this book, I don't know if you're a plotter or a pantser, but when you were writing it, were there any big surprises? I mean, without spoilers, can you share what your biggest surprise was?
So I started as a pantser way back, but it didn't serve me. I am a person who needs a little bit more structure. So when I wrote, we're talking a few decades ago, when I started writing, I really had no plan. I had no 5-act structure even. And
Right.
I realized that if I was going to do this properly, I had to impose some structure on myself in the story. I think the whole thing surprised me because I built the characters first. I had the
Mhm.
setting obviously in mind, and I built the characters and what would make each of them, totally have an aversion to relationships and love by this point in their lives. And then it unfolded. It unfolded in an interesting way. I threw in twists and curveballs and a villain unexpectedly, and so
Oh,
I'd say I'm a plotting pantster of if that's
you're a
if that's a
pantser.
thing. Yes. So I was, very surprised by a number of things. It's hard to pinpoint just one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, do you have a favorite scene in the book?
I do. And it is without giving too much away. It's when they unexpectedly are confronted with each other. And she has, over the course of the first half of the book, I think, gotten stronger. Not that she's not a strong female. My characters are always going to be strong, maybe a little willful, maybe a little stubborn female characters. But she comes up against him and lets him have it, and it's a surprise to the reader. I hope. I don't think that it's expected at all. But she just basically tells him, you are just a giant ass hat, and I'm not putting up with this. And she like lays down the law and hightails it out of there, and leaves him with his jaw on the table. What was that? So I think that one's a particularly good one. So,
Okay.
okay.
Well, how does because it sounds like he's obviously dominant and she's submissive. And for, BDSM readers, that's the thing. And I'm wondering, how did you play with that? Because obviously you have, a different
a different take on it. Yes.
Yeah. So how did you play that against each other?
So it began with her curiosity and the writing of her own book, and having a relationship go completely awry because her boyfriend didn't share any interest in adventurousness. And she would not classify herself as submissive. In fact, she calls herself quite oppositional in the beginning. So she's kind of finding her way, and the reader, I think, finds their way along with her. There are some things that are quite intriguing and some that are quite shocking, and as she goes through it and meets him, and this is in the blurb of the book, she needs a tutor. she would
Right.
she would like Gage to be her tutor in this area. Now it is open door and very spicy as it goes along, because she's learning things about herself at the same time as she's learning things about this kind of relationship. Did that answer the question, or did I meander way off?
No, I think you did. I'm wondering about, does she, because you have every different part of romance has its own like tropes, and I write paranormals, so it's always, there are people dying and there's big stakes and stuff like that. But I know for BDSM romance, there's, these players and they make scenes and all this kind of stuff. And it seems to me from reading the little clips on your website that she would maybe not be super cool with that. So, how did you make that work out?
That her stubbornness drives her. Yes. Really, she's got a very stubborn personality. She has got a one-track mind, and that is to learn everything that she can. And she also senses his doubt and his mistrust. And so she says, I can I can handle anything that you can dish out. Now, people who live that scene, I don't think that they would necessarily agree with this approach. That it's safe, sane, and consensual all the way through. It's very much, I want this. Yes. Is this okay? Laying down exactly what will happen. In 90% of the cases, both know what to expect. And I think that it's her uncovering these parts of herself that she's kept under wraps. And the trust issues come from her childhood. And so she's working through this belief that the men are generally going to let her down no matter what. So she goes in with her eyes wide open and thinks, we've got great chemistry, and I'm just going to put this relationship in a box.
Right.
and my heart will be safe. I'm just having a great time. He doesn't want anything from me. He doesn't trust me. So what could go wrong?
Right. Characters are so silly. Yes. They always think this can just be physical and my heart can be in a box over here.
Right. Yep, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, I wanted to ask you about because it's in a BDSM club and all that, there are a lot of myths versus reality. And so I'm just wondering, when you were writing this, how did you peel apart the layers to make it, an honest kind of representation?
I did a lot of research, and in the end, when I created the club, I don't think it matches or it isn't close to any other place that I've heard of. I've heard of nightclubs, and I've heard of clubs that are out there, couples out there, and such. But this is very much a more refined, closed door. Things could happen in the club's playroom, but it is it's not it. Yeah, how can I say that? I think I coined the phrase like a civilized, a more civilized and refined club. that I made up. I mean, I literally made it up. I admit that. I thought, okay, well, they'll need a playroom for people who are comfortable in that scenario. But then
Right.
there's private rooms where people could have a dinner party, for instance, and they have fetish nights. They have organized parties where it's planned for instance, a what do you call it? Like an Arabian Nights theme. So all the members get dressed up and they bring their partners with them and that sort of thing. But yeah, it was really quite a creation because I haven't been to one that exists.
Right. Yeah.
Not like this kind of idea. So yeah. But again, consensual and very, very civilized, for lack of a better word at the moment.
Right. Well, what your writing, our listeners are generally readers, and they're always really curious about your writing journey. And you were talking about how you've written for a long time, but this is Luce's first book. Do you want to tell us kind of about your writing journey and how you got here?
Sure. It began, well, yes, as I say, several decades ago. But at the time, I viewed it as a hobby. It was just for myself. And I was not willing to let anyone read it, really. And various levels of spice, I'd say. But it was always there, something I wanted to do. And I thought, well, when life slows down, I'll put more energy into this. But that never happened. Career, motherhood, relocations, all sorts of things just ended up getting in the way. And my other problem was I would have a marvelous idea and start writing about it and then put it aside and come back weeks later and say, oh, this is horrible. What was I thinking? Just put that away. I did know this one thing about myself. I needed some consistency. And COVID gave me a gift, and I don't say that lightly. It really gave me solitude and peace and a lot less pressure from all sides. Pure isolation for several months. And I said, well, I could sit and watch Netflix, all evening. And I was out in the West Coast, so most of my family were in the East Coast for this particular job I had, and I had the whole evening free. So that became my time. And it still is my time. My best writing is in the evening after.
Oh, me too. I'm a night owl.
Yes. And I could stop and look at the clock and say, I better get to bed. Because you don't get as many phone calls and emails and pings and dings and oh my goodness. And I am a person who likes to minimize distraction because I could so easily be distracted by spider in the office. I would have to leave or another creepy crawly. So that for me, COVID in particular really gave me the window of opportunity. And I started from square one. I had novel 3, in fact, partially written. And I decided not to make that number 1. I decided to push it to 3. Because I was really quite a novice in the structuring of a novel and scenes. And so I went back to school being webinars and joining lots of guilds and grabbing all the information I could as far as the building of a novel. And that's how it came to be. So really, it was 5 years ago that I sat down and said, okay, it is now or never, woman.
Right.
You really... this is just the best opportunity you're going to get, and figure it out, make it happen.
I love that. And then when it came time, like you finished the book and you're happy with it, did you go the traditional route or did you hire an editor and like do it all yourself?
I did as much editing as I could myself with lots of different software programs. And then I started querying agents, and I did that. Obviously, finished the novel and edit. Took probably a year to edit, several times over. And then, again, I went to the querying process, and that was sad.
It's hard.
Oh my goodness. And I read success stories and I held on to my hope. But I also felt two things. I was reading articles about the publishing industry at large and how it has changed so much in the last number of years. Consolidation of companies, they're just not spending as much. They're not taking on authors without a following, authors with novels that are too big. Mine was over 100. Well, it was over 120,000 words. Nobody would touch that. Yes.
Yeah, dang. That's long.
Yes. I needed a weed whacker. Yes. In fact, it didn't get weed whacked. It just got a trim. So there was that, and there was the genre. And if you look at the marketplace, the vast majority in this genre of erotic romance and dark romance, they are self-published, indie published. And so I put a deadline on it of I guess June 2024. And I said, okay, if there's no agent knocking on my door by this point, or answering me even, then I'm going it alone. And so I did. Then I found an editor and sourced all the professionals
who covers it's a lot. You have to become a publishing company.
you do. I had no idea. I'd say that the work of publishing was maybe, I always thought writing was the hardest part. No, it's getting the product to market. It's having the right cover, the blurb, the formatting, the my God. Yeah, it's endless. It's endless.
Right.
But rewarding, and being the boss is really quite good.
Yes. Yeah, because I started out with publisher and an agent, and then I was hybrid, and now I'm all indie. I really enjoy, I mean, it is, a 50-50. Some days are like, why do I have to do all of this myself? But on the good days, it's super nice to have the final say on a cover, and to get an editor that you love who isn't going to leave the publishing house. Oh my gosh, I got orphaned so many times because my editor would leave. And so anyway, then you can get an editor that you are comfortable with, that you guys work well together, and you can keep them. You can just hire them over and over for the books. And so anyway, I'm all indie now, but it is a lot of work.
It is. And then the share of the profit is more yours. So
that's true. And if you want to put something on sale, you can.
Exactly.
So that's very nice. For what's next? I guess book 2 is underway, right? Can people expect it to be up for pre-order soon, or what's going on with that?
No pressure. No. It's in rough. It's in writing. I'm in writing mode.
Okay.
My estimates. I've put this out there. I'll just say it again because it'll make it more real. I need to have it finished before the fall, and have it ready to go to market by, before Valentine's, and maybe just after Christmas again.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the goal. And I will try not to write 125. So that the editing everything will just be so much easier. If it's a little more,
a little more manageable. Yes.
Exactly. If you told me I could write that many words when I started, I would have laughed you out of the house and said, impossible. So.
But once you got started, those characters had stuff to tell you.
They did. They absolutely did. So.
Well, I wanted to ask you about obviously you're writing these 3 or 4 books in this series, but are there other genres too that you're kind of curious about that you want to write in, or are you sticking with this for now?
For now, I am sticking with this, but eventually, because I'm a huge fan of dark romance, the very morally gray main character. And since I love those so much, I think, and that's a new development because there's so much to choose from. My goodness, mafia and bratva and tattooed bad guys. I mean, it's everywhere. So maybe eventually. But I have 3 more books to write in this particular genre where I think I have a comfort level now. I don't want to reinvent the wheel and start creating something where I would be starting from square one. So
Right,
yeah.
right. Well, I love that. I wanted to ask about your you mentioned your alpha husband in your bio, but
Yes.
does he read it? Does he know what you're up to? How involved is your alpha with these alphas that you're writing?
So he is he's aware. He's very aware, and sometimes I think that he has snuck a peek at it. I mean, it's pages have been lying around here for ages, but then there's a part of him is like, no, I think we'll leave that Pandora's box with just tied with a little bow. He knows, and he knows there are parts of him in it. I did in the dedication at the front of the book. I said, there are parts of you in this, and perhaps you'll read it, perhaps you shouldn't. So it's I like keeping a bit of mystery, and I think that will serve us well. There are definitely parts of him. He's a grumpy alpha hole at times. But I have a type. I think he's the type. So, yeah.
Did he take you out for a celebration dinner when you finally put it out into the world?
Yes, indeed.
Yay.
And no, he's been incredibly supportive. I just have to keep him out of the office while I'm in creation mode, because he tends to. I hear him shuffle up to the door, and I know he wants to ask me something. I'm like, you gotta go away. So that's the only challenge that we have had. Yes.
Right.
When I'm in like the zone, I need to be left alone.
When my kids were at home and I was writing, I had to resort to, luckily, I always make playlists for my books. I make them before I even start writing. They just help me stay in the mood and the tone and all. And, but when my kids were home and little, I would have to wear these big headphones so that they would know I was writing. And they knew the rule was, unless you're bleeding or on fire, that cat video can wait until the headphones are off. So they would come in and they'd go, oh, and they'd walk back out.
No, like, I love that idea. I'm going to employ that. I have a good set of headphones, and I can put my instrumental thing.
Yeah.
And then I won't even hear him at the door. That's
there.
brilliant.
See, I changed your life. But giving them a visual cue helps, and like my husband, even though the kids aren't here now, I always light candles too. He'll walk in the room and he'll go, ooh, it smells like writing. And he'll go
That's cool. Very cool.
Yeah, because the videos are so funny and you want to share them. But when someone's in the middle of writing, if they can have a visual cue, then they just leave.
Right. Oh, no. Brilliant thinking.
Oh, I'm happy to share.
Yes.
So if somebody reads your book and they get really excited, I know I mentioned at the beginning that you're on Instagram. What's the best way for readers to contact you after they read the book?
So Instagram is where I'm most active. Okay. Facebook as well, because we sort of post in both. I don't touch TikTok. It's just too much. And I like Instagram. It's the easiest one. I've learned it.
Okay,
that was another learning curve. Social media. And my website, as you mentioned at the beginning, I have a newsletter, a Live Life Juicy blog. And so those are the best places.
Yes. And I always like to remind readers who are listening that even though authors are busy writing, your email can be the difference in this chapter getting done today or not. So don't be afraid to send an author an email that, oh, you can't wait for the next book, or this was my favorite character, or whatever, because really it can be so inspiring. And writing is really a loner kind of thing. You're in your cave writing, and just getting a note that your words made a difference for somebody can really turn your whole day around and make the words flow. So
so true.
out.
I can attest to that. There was a Goodreads review that I absolutely loved, and she said, should I be attracted to Dimitri, who's the bad guy? Because she is. She said, I admit it, I am. And that made me think, oh, Dimitri should have his own story, or I should write an alternate ending where the bad guy wins. But no, it's absolutely inspiring and wonderful to read that they didn't want to put it down, or I mean, wow. That's huge.
Right.
So it makes a huge impact.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to reach out to Luce and let her know that you can't wait for the second book, because she's finishing it up and you could help it get done sooner. So
yes.
So send those emails, post those reviews, and I really appreciate you being here today. It was so much fun chatting with you.
It was, Lisa. I had a great time. Super fun.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us on Booklights. Be sure to connect with us at www.readersentertainment.com for articles, blogs, videos, and podcasts that matter to readers.